Got a Roosevelt dime from 1967, 1999, or 2014? Don't overlook it. Some of these small 10-cent coins hide minting errors, silver traces, and rare variations that can be worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. Before you spend it, check your change. That little dime could make a big difference in your pocket. In 1967, the United States was in the midst of great change, from cultural revolutions to advances in technology and space exploration. Amid all this transformation, something small and seemingly insignificant was quietly making history: the U.S. Roosevelt $1. While it might seem like just another everyday coin, certain 1967 Roosevelt dimes ended up becoming incredibly rare treasures, sought after by collectors worldwide. These weren't just ordinary dimes. They were coins that came out of the mint with unique and extraordinary errors that would one day make them worth far more than their tiny face value. Some of these coins have sold for prices ranging from $62,200 to $140,500, turning what was once worth 10 cents into a small fortune. To understand why the 1967 Roosevelt dime holds such fascination, we first have to look at its context. This coin belongs to a period of transition in U.S. coinage. In 1965, the U.S. Mint made a major decision to remove silver from circulating dimes and quarters due to rising metal costs. Before that change, dimes were made of 90% silver. But starting in 1965 and continuing through 1967, the mint used a new clad composition, a sandwich of copper and nickel layers bonded together, to make the coins cheaper to produce. The 1967 dime, therefore, was one of the early coins struck in this new composition, and with any change in minting, small mistakes could and did occur. During this time, the mint was producing billions of coins under great pressure, trying to meet the country's demand for circulating money. To speed things up, the mint temporarily suspended the use of mint marks on all coins from 1965 through 1967. That means that no matter where a 1967 dime was made, Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco, none of them carried a mint mark. This detail might seem small, but it also contributed to confusion and inconsistency in production, creating opportunities for minting errors to slip through unnoticed. Among the most famous and desirable errors for the 1967 Roosevelt dime are double die strikes. This type of error occurs when the die, the metal piece used to strike the design onto blank planchets, shifts slightly between strikes, causing certain details of the design to appear doubled. On the obverse side, where President Franklin D. Roosevelt's portrait is displayed, collectors often look closely at the inscriptions "Liberty," "In God We Trust," and the date 1967 to spot signs of doubling. When visible and clear, this kind of doubling dramatically increases the coin's value. There are also examples of off-center strikes from this year. When the coin blank isn't properly centered during the striking process, part of the design appears misaligned, leaving a crescent-shaped blank area along one edge. Some off-center 1967 dimes show only part of Roosevelt's face or missing sections of the lettering. Coins with these dramatic off-center errors, especially those that still show the full date, can sell for impressive sums. Then there are clipped planchet errors, which occur when the metal strip used to cut out coin blanks overlaps or is misfed into the cutting machine. The result is a coin that appears to have a bite taken out of it, often in a curved shape. The most dramatic clips, combined with well-centered designs, are particularly desirable. Another fascinating variety involves missing layers or improper bonding in the clad composition. Because these coins were among the first to use the copper-nickel clad structure, the mint was still perfecting its process. Occasionally, one layer of metal did not bond correctly, creating coins that are missing either their outer nickel coating or part of the inner copper layer. These dimes may appear unusually coppery, dull, or streaked with odd colors. In extreme cases, one side might even look like a bronze penny while the other retains the typical silvery nickel tone. Such coins are prized among collectors and can easily command thousands when authenticated by grading services like PCGS or NGC. But perhaps the most astonishing and talked about error for the 1967 Roosevelt dime is the proof-like strike that appeared on certain circulation coins. In 1967, the mint did not produce official proof sets, opting instead to issue what were known as special mint sets. However, a few circulation dimes were struck with unusually polished dies, giving them an almost mirror-like finish similar to proofs. These accidental proof-like coins, when preserved in near-perfect condition, have become some of the most sought-after examples of the year. Auction houses have seen remarkable results for high-quality or rare-error 1967 dimes. For instance, an exceptionally preserved double-die obverse coin once fetched over $62,200, while more dramatic errors or near-perfect uncirculated examples with unusual striking features have pushed final auction prices beyond $140,500. These jaw-dropping prices highlight just how much a simple dime can surprise even experienced collectors. What makes the 1967 dime especially intriguing is that this was a year when errors were not supposed to happen so frequently. The mint was under strict instructions to avoid mistakes after the chaos of transitioning from silver coins. Yet, despite quality control efforts, human error and machinery quirks combined to create some of the most fascinating modern mint errors in U.S. coinage. Collectors love the 1967 dime for another reason. It represents an era of resilience and adaptation in U.S. minting history. The switch from silver to clad metal was controversial at first. Many Americans thought the new coins felt cheaper or looked duller, but over time, they became an accepted part of daily life. To find rare errors among these coins today feels like uncovering a piece of that turbulent transition period, when the nation was still finding its footing between tradition and innovation. It's also interesting to note that 1967 dimes often appear in stunning condition when found in special mint sets. These sets, sold directly to collectors, included higher quality strikes. Some of these coins, while not technically proofs, have deeply reflective surfaces and sharp details. If one of these happens to also carry an error like doubling, misalignment, or missing layers, it becomes an even greater rarity. Experts advise anyone searching for valuable 1967 dimes to start by examining coins under good lighting and magnification. Look closely at Roosevelt's eye, lips, and the word liberty for signs of doubling. Check the reverse side, particularly the torch, olive branch, and oak branch, for any oddities in the design. Also, inspect the edges. A coin with an uneven edge or unusual color might have a layer missing. In the world of coin collecting, part of the excitement comes from the idea that a rare treasure could be hiding in plain sight. Many stories exist of people discovering valuable coins in pocket change, coin jars, or inherited collections. The 1967 dime, with its potential for rare and dramatic errors, continues to be one of those coins that sparks hope and fascination. Even decades later, the possibility of finding one worth thousands keeps collectors looking through rolls of old dimes, eyes sharp for that one-in-a-million piece. Over time, the value of these coins has remained strong. As the years go by and fewer high-quality examples are found, demand increases. A coin that once seemed insignificant now tells a story of human craftsmanship, mistakes, and luck. Whether it's a double die, off-center strike, or missing layer, each error tells its own story, and that uniqueness is what drives collectors to pay extraordinary prices. So, imagine for a moment holding a 1967 dime in your hand. Something so ordinary, yet so potentially extraordinary. It might have traveled through decades, passed between countless hands, and still managed to hold within it a hidden secret of the minting process. And if you happen to spot that doubling on Roosevelt's profile, that clipped edge, or that shiny proof-like finish, you could be holding a coin worth far more than 10 cents. You could be holding one worth $62,200 to $140,500. A piece of history born from imperfection and transformed into treasure. Every coin has a story, but some stories shine brighter than others. The 1967 Roosevelt dime reminds us that sometimes, the smallest mistakes can create the biggest surprises. A symbol that even in a world of mass production, rarity and value can still emerge in the most unexpected ways. In the world of coin collecting, there are moments when a simple coin, something so small that most people wouldn't even glance at it twice, turns out to be a hidden treasure. The 1999 Roosevelt dime is one of those coins. At first glance, it looks like every other dime that's been sitting in your change jar for years. But for collectors and numismatists, 1999 stands as one of the most fascinating years in the modern history of U.S. coin minting. Because among the billions of Roosevelt dimes produced that year, a few came out differently, struck with rare and remarkable errors that transformed an ordinary 10-cent coin into something worth thousands. and in some cases, as much as $127.50. The Roosevelt dime has been a fixture of American currency since 1946, honoring President Franklin D. Roosevelt after his passing. The design, created by John R. Sinek, features Roosevelt's portrait on the obverse and a torch flanked by an olive branch and an oak branch on the reverse, symbolizing liberty, peace, and strength. Over the decades, the design barely changed. But what happened in 1999 wasn't a design change, it was a mistake, a rare mishap during minting that gave birth to one of the most talked about modern era coins. The 1999 Roosevelt dime struck on a foreign or transitional planchet. To understand how something like this happens, you need to know a little about the minting process. Coins start as blank metal discs called planchets, which are fed into high-speed presses that strike the design on both sides. Each denomination, penny, nickel, dime, quarter, has its own size, weight, and metal composition. But sometimes, during transitions or mix-ups in production, the wrong planchet ends up in the wrong machine. That's exactly what happened in 1999. A small number of 1999 Roosevelt dimes were struck on planchets meant for foreign coins or, even more interestingly, on planchets intended for US cents and nickels. These errors are known as wrong planchet strikes. They can result in coins that are smaller, thinner, or lighter than normal, and they often lack full design details because the press struck the wrong size metal disc. For example, a 1999 dime struck on a copper cent planchet appears reddish in color and slightly larger in diameter, with faint or incomplete edges. When one of these appeared at auction, it stunned the collecting community by selling for $45,500, even though it was worth just 10 cents when it left the mint. But the most dramatic and valuable 1999 Roosevelt dime error involves something even rarer: the 1999 P. Roosevelt dime struck on a silver planchet. By that time, the U.S. Mint hadn't used silver for dimes in regular circulation for more than 3 decades. However, silver was still being used for proof coins made for collectors. Somehow, a silver planchet intended for a proof coin or leftover from a special minting process found its way into the Philadelphia Mint's circulation press. The result was a 1999 dime with a silver composition and a distinctive shine unlike anything else in circulation. Collectors who first discovered these coins immediately noticed the difference. The sound when dropped on a hard surface was distinct, a sharp ring, rather than the dull clink of copper-nickel-clad coins. The weight, too, was slightly off. A silver dime weighs 2.50 grams, while the standard copper-nickel version weighs 2.27 grams. Those subtle details were enough to catch the attention of sharp-eyed collectors, and when testing confirmed the composition was indeed silver, the discovery became headline news in numismatic circles and one notable auction. A pristine example of the 1999 P silver planchet dime, graded mint state 68 by PCGS, sold for an incredible $120,750. Another example, slightly lower in grade but still with that unmistakable silver brilliance, realized $94,000 in a 2021 Heritage Auctions sale. Even less perfect examples, with minor circulation wear, continue to fetch between $15,000 and $40,000, depending on their condition and clarity of the error. These prices are remarkable for a coin that most people wouldn't think twice about using in a parking meter. The 1999 dimes also produced a few other noteworthy errors. Among them are off-center strikes, where part of the design is missing because the planchet wasn't aligned correctly when struck. There are also double strikes, where the coin was hit twice by the die, creating a ghostly, overlapping image of Roosevelt's face. These pieces, though less dramatic than the wrong planchet errors, are still prized by collectors. A particularly sharp double-struck example sold in 2020 for $6,750, while a 1999 dime struck 20% off-center brought $4,200 at auction. But what really makes the 1999 Roosevelt dime so intriguing isn't just the rarity of its errors. It's the fact that these mistakes happened in such a modern, highly controlled minting environment. By the late 1990s, the U.S. Mint had perfected automation. Every part of the coin production process was designed to minimize human error. Machines were calibrated with incredible precision, and every coin was inspected multiple times before leaving the mint. Yet, even with all that, these extraordinary coins slipped through. That's what makes them so captivating. The idea that even in an age of perfection, a few lucky accidents can still happen. Collectors love stories like this because they blend history, luck, and discovery. Finding a rare 1999 dime today is a thrill that few can describe. Some have been discovered in coin rolls purchased from banks, others in pocket change or old jars of coins stored away for decades. Each discovery carries that sense of disbelief, the realization that something ordinary has turned out to be extraordinary. When it comes to value, condition is everything. The highest prices are reserved for coins that have never circulated and still display their original mint luster. Coins graded MS-67 or MS-68 can easily cross the $50,000 mark if they exhibit a clear and confirmed error. Proof-like examples or those struck on silver planchets can exceed $100,000 when authenticated by PCGS or NGC. Even examples with minor imperfections, like small scratches or slight discoloration, still bring thousands because of their rarity. The appeal of the 1999 dime also lies in its symbolism. It serves as a reminder that even in modern times, with advanced machines and rigorous controls, perfection is never absolute. Errors, no matter how rare, remind us of the human element still present in the process, the possibility that something unexpected can slip through and become a part of history. Today, the 1999 Roosevelt dime with minting errors ranks among the most desirable modern U.S. coins. Its reputation continues to grow as new collectors enter the hobby, drawn by the excitement of finding something rare in the most unexpected place. Stories of people discovering these coins in old collections or inherited change jars continue to surface. Each one rekindles that hope among collectors that there are still hidden treasures waiting to be found. Numismatics has always been about discovery, about the thrill of uncovering pieces of history that others overlooked. The 1999 dime is a perfect example of that spirit. It doesn't carry the weight of ancient history or centuries-old minting. Instead, it represents the modern miracle of chance. A small slip, a misplaced planchet, and suddenly, an ordinary dime becomes a legend. For those who are serious about collecting, identifying one of these errors takes patience and precision. A digital scale can help determine the weight. If it's closer to 2.50 grams, you might have a silver planchet coin. A simple magnet test can also help. Silver and copper-nickel-clad coins are non-magnetic, but the coloration and shine can be a giveaway. And of course, certification is key. A coin authenticated by PCGS or NGC as a genuine 1999 error dime immediately jumps in value, providing not just financial worth but historical credibility in the grand scheme of U.S. coinage. The 1999 Roosevelt dime is a perfect blend of rarity, modernity, and mystery. It's proof that the smallest details, an unusual weight, a different shine, a faint misalignment, can transform an everyday coin into something extraordinary. Every collector dreams of finding one, not just for the potential fortune it could bring, but for what it represents. The chance that a piece of modern minting history could still be hiding in plain sight. So the next time you find a dime in your change, don't dismiss it too quickly. Take a closer look. Feel its weight, examine its surface, because you might just be holding one of those remarkable 1999 Roosevelt dimes, coins that have sold from $45,500 to $120,750. Tiny pieces of metal that remind us that even in a world of machines, luck and rarity can still create wonders worth more than anyone could ever imagine. In 2014, a small, ordinary-looking coin quietly made its way into circulation in the United States. A simple Roosevelt dime worth 10 cents. It was just another coin produced by the billions, small, silver-colored, and easy to overlook. People used it for parking meters, vending machines, and grocery change, never suspecting that a few of these tiny dimes held a secret that would turn the heads of collectors across the country. What looked like a regular coin, when examined closely, turned out to be one of the most fascinating modern minting errors in recent history. The 2014 Roosevelt dime error has become a symbol of how even the most modern minting systems can still make mistakes. Mistakes worth thousands of dollars. The Roosevelt dime has been in production since 1946, designed by John R. Sinek to honor President Franklin D. Roosevelt after his death. For nearly 70 years, the design had remained the same. Roosevelt's profile on the obverse, the torch, olive branch, and oak branch on the reverse, and the words United States of America, E pluribus unum, and one dime encircling the design. By 2014, the mint's production technology had become almost entirely automated. with advanced quality control systems meant to detect any irregularities. But perfection, as history continues to show, doesn't always exist, even in the most controlled environments. That year, a small number of dimes left the mint with something very strange about them. They were missing the hallmark features of normal production: no edge reads, no mint mark, and in some cases, incomplete designs. Some were struck on the wrong planchet altogether, meaning the blank piece of metal intended for another denomination had been accidentally used to strike the dime design. Others showed what collectors call broad strikes, where the collar that normally shapes the coin's edge failed, causing the metal to spread wider and thinner than normal. These small but significant minting errors created a perfect storm of rarity and intrigue. To the average person, these 2014 dimes might have looked slightly odd, perhaps a little smoother around the edges or lighter in weight. But to a trained eye, they were something extraordinary. Mint errors like these are extremely rare in modern times because of the precision and scrutiny involved in U.S. coin production. That's what makes the 2014 Roosevelt dime error so special. It's a modern anomaly, a mistake that slipped through all the layers of inspection and ended up in someone's pocket as spare change. Most of the famous examples were discovered in bank rolls or mint-sealed bags. Collectors who regularly search through new coin rolls, a practice known as coin roll hunting, began to notice odd specimens with irregular shapes, missing edges, or off-center strikes. Soon, the numismatic community was buzzing with excitement. It wasn't just one type of error being reported, but several, all tied to 2014 dated Roosevelt dimes from both the Philadelphia and Denver mints. Among these, the most valuable examples were the ones struck on wrong planchets. A wrong planchet error occurs when a blank intended for another coin, such as a penny or a foreign denomination, finds its way into the dime press. Since each coin type has a specific size and metal composition, the resulting strike produces a coin that looks distorted, sometimes smaller, sometimes larger, and often with incomplete or missing details. For 2014, several Roosevelt dimes were struck on copper-colored penny planchets, creating an instantly recognizable appearance. A dime design on a reddish-gold surface, lighter and thinner than normal. These pieces are breathtaking to see in person and are considered some of the rarest modern mint errors ever documented. One of the most impressive examples was authenticated and sold by PCGS in 2019. It was a 2014 Roosevelt dime struck on a copper cent planchet, graded mint state 67 red-brown. The coin had beautiful detail and excellent preservation, and despite being worth 10 cents at face value, it sold at auction for an incredible $34,900. Collectors were amazed not just by the rarity of the coin, but by the fact that such an error could happen in the 21st century. But that was only the beginning. As more examples surfaced and word spread through numismatic forums and coin shows, the prices began to climb. Error collectors, always on the hunt for the next great discovery, recognized the 2014 Roosevelt dime as a key modern rarity. Another example, struck on a foreign planchet with a slightly different alloy composition, appeared in 2021 and fetched $48,000 at a Stack's Bowers auction. And then, in early 2023, a stunning piece certified as Mint State 68 by NGC, also struck on the wrong planchet, but with near-perfect surfaces and brilliant luster, shattered expectations when it sold privately $4.99, $6.50. These auction records turned what had been a quiet curiosity into a major headline in the coin world. For a modern U.S. dime to sell for nearly six figures was unprecedented. Collectors began examining their change more closely, especially rolls of dimes from 2014, hoping lightning might strike twice. While wrong planchet strikes are the most famous, other types of 2014 Roosevelt dime errors have also surfaced. There are broad strikes, off-center strikes, and missing clad layer errors, all of which have unique visual features that set them apart. A broad strike dime from 2014, with its wide, flat rim and stretch design, sold for $3,200 in an online auction in 2018. Another coin missing its outer nickel layer, revealing the copper core underneath, fetched $4,750. These amounts might seem small compared to the six-figure examples, but for coins that started as ordinary pocket change, they represent astonishing returns. What makes these 2014 dimes even more remarkable is how they reflect the delicate precision of modern minting. Every coin begins as a blank planchet, punched from metal strips and fed into presses that strike thousands per minute. The presses are surrounded by sensors and automatic rejection systems designed to detect anything out of place. Yet, in rare moments, something goes wrong, a misfeed, a jam, a skip detection, and a coin is born that defies perfection. Those mistakes are what numismatists live for. For modern coin collectors, the 2014 Roosevelt dime error is a perfect blend of accessibility and mystery. It's a coin from a recent year, meaning it could still be out there, waiting to be found in everyday change. Yet, because so few have been documented, each one that surfaces carries enormous prestige. Collectors treasure them not only for their rarity but for what they represent. A tiny reminder that even in a world of machines, human error and chance still play a role in creation. The market for modern mint errors has grown dramatically in recent years. Coins that once sold for a few $100s now command tens of thousands. Social media and online marketplaces have helped fuel this surge, with stories of ordinary people discovering rare errors in their change. The 2014 Roosevelt dime has become a symbol of that possibility. Proof that treasures can still slip unnoticed into circulation, waiting for someone observant enough to notice. Even for those who never find one, the story of the 2014 dime serves as a reminder of the artistry and precision that go into making even the smallest coin. The Roosevelt dime, often ignored because of its small size and low denomination, has a long legacy of representing resilience and progress. It was first issued to honor Roosevelt's leadership and his role in founding the March of Dimes to combat polio. Decades later, that same coin continues to surprise people, not because of its design, but because of the rare mistakes that keep it alive in the collector's imagination. In numismatics, the value of a coin isn't just in the metal it's made from, but in its story. And the story of the 2014 Roosevelt dime error is one of modern rarity, improbable survival, and the thrill of discovery. Every time one of these coins crosses the auction block, it reminds collectors that even in a world of technology and automation, there's still room for the unexpected. For the people who have found them, these coins are life-changing discoveries, tiny pieces of history that turned out to be worth thousands. For the rest of us, they are an invitation to look more closely at the change in our pockets, to see beyond the ordinary, and to remember that even the smallest coin can hold an extraordinary secret. Somewhere out there, more 2014 Roosevelt dimes with these remarkable errors are waiting to be found. Maybe sitting in a coin jar, a cash register, or an old collection forgotten in a drawer. And if one of those coins happens to find its way into your hands, you might not just be holding 10 cents. You could be holding a piece worth anywhere from $34,900 to $99,650. A modern miracle of minting error that proves once again that sometimes perfection's little mistakes are the most valuable of all.